All right, we are on our last piece here, our last section. We'll still have to put everything together, but this is our last section. So we're going to start here by fusing our piece here. And if I haven't said it before, you know, I tend to line up along the base of this. It uses the smallest piece. So I'm gonna go quickly fuse this, and then I'm going to trim to the edges and we'll go from there. So as you can see, I've trimmed this on both sides. It still is stuck. All right, and now we're going to take two of these pieces here and we're going to add them to the sides. I'm going to put this one on this side. You can see I line up the edges so they're nice and, you know, they fit nicely. Not hard to guess where they go. Sewing right along the edge. Now I'm going to finger press this over and get the next side. Okay. Again, lining up along the edges here, so I try to match the edge of the original triangle down here. Okay, the original triangle, because these are the same size pieces. Flip it over. This out. Now, one of the things I'm going to show you is that you try to stay as close as you can to this line. So that's your fold line, right? Because when you flip it here, this is where they intersect and you need to go through that point. So if you're further away from the line, either way, this point is going to be out further and further. So, you know, trying to stay as close as you can over here makes this point right here in closer like that. So as close as you can get without sewing to it. So I'm going to now press this down and trim this piece here off. So we've trimmed that piece off and we've trimmed down to here. So we're going to put this piece here. So this, for those following along, is C4. No explosions, just C4. And we're going to put this on here. And again, we're going to aim right at that X point, which means we're going to be just slightly off our edge here. Because if we go right through that X, we're going to have a perfect point. Let's see how we did here. This up here. Ah, see, we aimed at the point, at that X, and we get a perfect point. Okay, we're going to press again, and now we're putting on the corners here. All right, so I have trimmed, as you can see, the edges here on our last pieces here, C5 and C6. And we're going to add our little triangles. Again, these were cut from squares. They're just cut in half on the diagonal. So when we put this on, so we've got this piece here. So you want to look at what's going on here. So you're going to look like that and then flip it this way. That's how you know you've got it right, okay? I'm going to put this on here. Whoops. That was the sound of my bobbin catching the thread underneath. So for those of you who've never done that before, that is what was happening, was my bobbin caught a thread. That's why we should always pull our bobbin threads out. And I'll be able to press this flat again, but that's why you have to be very careful with your bobbin threads. All right. I'm not going to be able to press that out, so I'm going to have to quickly undo this because it's not going to flatten. Okay, I've gone through and fixed my seam here that made such a mess. And now we're going to go do the other side. So just, you know, even the pros make mistakes here. So now we're going to do this side. Again, check your side. It should be like this, okay? So you want to make sure you match your method. And flip it over and put it here. Okay, so that way you know which side it's going on. And now we're going to sew these together. So now we'll sew these together. There. Move this out so you can see the whole thing. So now we're going to actually, do a good pressing here, and then we'll show you how we trim this piece up. Okay, we're all stuck here. So I tend to trim the bottom line first, just like we have every other time. Run our line up along the edge there. Trim that off. Now I'm going to trim here, like so. And then we're going to turn, and we're going to trim this one like so. And then our last step is just taking care of these little corners here. And we've shown you how important those are for lining these up later. So I'm going to trim this one over now. Get rid of my little crumbs here. And you may be curious as to how this is all going to go together. So I'm going to briefly show you. And there'll be a separate video showing how to put it all together. So it will go together somewhat like this. Okay, these pieces will go like this. And then these that we just made, peel it off, are going to go right here like so. And that is how this whole block is going to go together. So we'll do that in a separate video just to show you how to assemble the whole thing, but isn't it really kind of cool?